Red Sox fans, please stop putting Jarren Duran in every trade talk. Jarren Duran, we got to realize, had an
So, could the Boston Red Sox be preparing one of the most aggressive and polarizing trades of the 2026 MLB offseason by sending Brian Bello to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for Ketel Marte? It's a question that, on the surface, sounds almost too bold to take seriously. And yet, once you peel back the layers, once you look at roster construction, contract timelines, market dynamics, and where both franchises truly stand, this hypothetical suddenly feels a lot less crazy than it first appears. This all began with a simple but provocative question posted on X by Sammy James. Would you trade Brian Bello, Jarren Duran, and Juan Valera to Arizona for Ketel Marte? That single tweet instantly sparked debate among Red Sox fans and MLB insiders alike. On one side, you have those who view Ketel Marte as one of the most complete second basemen in baseball, and exactly the type of star Boston has been missing. On the other, you have fans who see Bello as a foundational arm, Duran as a controllable outfield weapon, and Valera as another piece of long-term depth. Trading all three feels steep, almost reckless. And yet, this is precisely the type of move contending teams are often forced to consider when championship windows open. Just days before this trade idea gained traction, it was reported that the Arizona Diamondbacks had decided to retain Ketel Marte for the time being. That announcement cooled what had been a very active rumor cycle earlier in the offseason. Multiple teams were believed to be circling, and the Red Sox were among the most persistent. Talks were reportedly serious at one point. But after the Nolan Arenado domino fell and Alex Bregman, who had shown interest in Arizona, ultimately signed with the Chicago Cubs, the landscape shifted. Arizona's urgency diminished, their leverage increased, and suddenly, keeping Marte didn't just make sense, it felt like the smartest option available. From Arizona's perspective, retaining Marte is far from a conservative move. Ketel Marte is not just a good player. He is arguably the best second baseman in all of baseball right now. Coming off a tremendous season, Marte has quietly built a career defined by consistency, versatility, and postseason impact. He's a switch hitter who can change a game with one swing, but he's also a player who grinds at-bats, plays reliable defense, and elevates everyone around him. He is under a contract that, while longer-term, remains relatively team-friendly given his production. That deal does carry risk on the back end, no question. Long-term contracts almost always do. But in the short to medium term, Arizona is getting elite value. That context is important because it explains why Arizona would have no reason to move Marte unless the return was overwhelming. And that's exactly where this hypothetical trade comes into focus. Brian Bello, Jarren Duran, and Juan Valera is not a casual offer. That is a package designed to force a front office into serious internal debate. From the Red Sox perspective, this would be a statement move. Boston has already shown a willingness to be aggressive by signing Ranger Suarez in free agency. That was a meaningful addition, signaling that the front office believes this roster is closer to contention than many outside observers might think. They were also heavily involved in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, which tells you something important. Boston is not looking to sit back and wait. They want another impact bat. They want a star. And if free agency doesn't deliver one, the trade market becomes the next logical battlefield. Ketel Marte represents exactly the type of player Boston has lacked in recent seasons. A true, middle-of-the-order threat, a stabilizing presence in the infield, a hitter who doesn't disappear when the lights get bright. The Red Sox lineup has had talent, but it has often lacked balance and certainty. Marte provides both. He immediately becomes one of the most reliable offensive players on the roster and gives Boston a legitimate anchor in the middle infield. Of course, the price is steep. Brian Bello is not just another pitcher. He has been viewed internally as a core piece of the rotation, a controllable arm with upside who can grow alongside the team's younger core. Jarren Duran, meanwhile, is a polarizing player, but undeniably valuable. Trading him would be painful. His speed, defensive versatility, and flashes of offensive production make him an attractive asset, particularly for teams looking to retool quickly. Juan Valera adds another layer, offering depth and potential future value. But roster construction is rarely about emotion. It's about timing, fit, and opportunity cost. Boston currently faces something of a logjam. They have young pitching depth. They have outfielders competing for limited spots. At some point, surplus becomes leverage, and if the Red Sox believe their competitive window is opening now, not 3 years from now, then consolidating talent into a proven star like Marte becomes a defensible strategy. There's also the reality of divisional pressure. The AL East is unforgiving. Standing still is not an option. Incremental improvements often aren't enough. Boston needs to keep pace with teams that are constantly pushing chips into the middle of the table. Adding Marte would not be a subtle move. It would be a declaration that the Red Sox intend to win now, even if that means accepting long-term risk. From Arizona's side, this trade makes just as much sense. While Marte is a franchise-caliber player, baseball economics often dictate that even stars must eventually be cashed in. Getting Brian Bello would immediately bolster the Diamondbacks' rotation with a young, controllable starter who can contribute right away. That alone is a significant return. Adding Jarren Duran gives Arizona a versatile outfield option who could step into a regular role, particularly if they're looking to inject athleticism and speed into the lineup. Juan Valera rounds out the package, adding depth and future upside. For the Diamondbacks, this isn't about giving up on contention. It's about reshaping the roster in a way that balances the present and the future. Marte's value may never be higher than it is right now. If Arizona believes that his contract could become burdensome down the line, moving him at peak value is exactly how smart organizations stay competitive long term. That's why, if forced to choose a winner in this hypothetical, it's understandable to lean toward Arizona. They would be receiving multiple assets that address different areas of need, spreading risk across several players instead of concentrating it in one long-term deal. But that doesn't mean Boston loses, far from it. The Red Sox will be acquiring the best player in the deal, and in many cases, that's the only metric that truly matters. This is the kind of trade that only works if both teams are honest about their timelines. Boston would be betting that Marte remains elite long enough to justify the cost. Arizona would be betting that Bello continues to develop, that Duran finds consistency, and that Valera adds value down the road. Both sides assume risk. Both sides chase upside. And that's what makes this scenario so compelling. It's not a fantasy trade built on imbalance. It's a realistic, difficult decision that front offices genuinely wrestle with behind closed doors. The fact that Arizona has publicly stated they plan to keep Marte doesn't close the door forever. It simply raises the price. Trade talks often go quiet before resurfacing at unexpected moments. During the season, at the deadline, or next offseason when circumstances change again. For Red Sox fans, the question ultimately comes down to philosophy. Would you rather protect depth and hope internal growth carries you forward? Or would you rather cash in assets for a proven star and push aggressively toward contention? There is no universally correct answer, but there is a clear reality. Stars like Ketel Marte rarely become available without significant sacrifice. This hypothetical forces us to confront how badly Boston wants to win and how willing Arizona is to reshape its future. It's a reminder that every offseason is a living organism, constantly evolving as contracts are signed, players move, and leverage shifts. Today's impossibility can become tomorrow's blockbuster. So is this trade likely? Maybe not right now. But is it plausible? Absolutely. And in an offseason defined by bold moves and unexpected pivots, it's exactly the kind of scenario worth watching closely. Those are my thoughts. Now I want to hear yours. If you're the Red Sox, do you pull the trigger on a deal like this to land Ketel Marte? Or is the price simply too high? And if you're the Diamondbacks, would you actually move your star second baseman for this package? Drop your takes in the comments below.